Hey, what's up, guys? I am here and I'm here to show you guys my entire collection of all the wrestling books that I have, because I am a great, big, huge wrestling fan. I love the WWE, I love Ring of Honor, I love New Japan, I love the NWA, I love WCW. Anything that has to do with professional wrestling, I love. The AWA, the new AEW, everything. To me, wrestling is a huge part of my life, and I'm a great student of the wrestling game and the wrestling business. I've read many books, as I'm gonna show you guys what I've read throughout my entire life. Now, I haven't read all these books, to be honest with you, because there's a lot of them. But I've read most of them, and actually they're all very good. Wrestling, there's something about wrestling books that are pretty damn good. The ones that are released by the WWE aren't as good as the ones that have no connection with the company, because they have more freedom to say and express themselves a lot better without the company on their back editing their books and you know, kind of like micromanaging what they're gonna put in their books or not. So without further ado, I'm just gonna show you guys what I've been reading here. My entire WWE and not WWE wrestling library books, all the books that I have here. I'm gonna start off with one of my favorite books here. This is the Nature Boy Ric Flair, and this is his book called To Be the Man, which I actually got signed by him when I met him a couple of years ago. To Albert, Ric Flair, great guy, super cool guy. The book itself is amazing. One of the best wrestling books I've ever read in my entire life. Very fun, very entertaining. Packed with a bunch of cool pictures and a lot of awesome stories from the greatest, to me, one of the best, if not the greatest wrestler of all time, Ric Flair. Had amazing matches with, of course, Sting, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, and he had a great run throughout his entire career. A career that wasn't even supposed to happen, because early in his career, like maybe 2 or 3 years into wrestling, he got into this huge airplane crash that broke his back and all that, and he still managed to pull it off and become one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, again, if not the greatest. But he's also very well known. A lot of people know him. He's very popular. I would say he's the second or maybe third most popular wrestler of all time, right behind Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Everybody knows Ric Flair. Everybody loves Ric Flair. And of course, his career, I mean, one of the greatest careers of all time. No one has wrestled as many people, and no one has wrestled in as many towns as the Nature Boy Ric Flair. And I thank him for everything. I met him, and when I met him, I thanked him, and I told him what a big fan I was, what a mark. I'm a huge mark for this guy, and he was a really nice guy, a really cool guy, and this book was amazing. Really good book. Next up here, I got Mankind, Have a Nice Day. This is New York Times bestseller. Just sold many copies. Great freaking book. Honestly, one of the best books in wrestling ever. This thing is huge, very fat book. I mean, Mick Foley went all out on this for 500 pages here, and yeah, man, it's awesome. There's no negative points on this. He has a really cool back to the book here with all the broken bones and 8 concussions he's had, and torn abdominal, torn meniscus, bruised kidneys, broken toes, over 325 stitches. Bro, this Mankind, Mick Foley, Cactus Jack, whatever you want to call him, awesome character, and he played Mankind great. He played Dude Love great, and of course Cactus Jack Everybody loves Mick Foley, and he's a very, very cool guy, and I also met him too. I didn't get this book signed, but I got the other one signed that I'm going to show you guys in a little bit. And yeah, man, Mankind, awesome, awesome book. This is the Have a Nice Day book. I think if you're heavy into wrestling, every fan should owe that Mankind book. Really, really good. Then I got here, this is the one that I'm currently reading. That's why I have this here. So I just kind of started. This is called Death of the Territories. And yeah, man, this is not released by WWE. This is released by ECW Press. ECW Press has nothing to do with the ECW company. It's just another publishing thing here, publisher. And this is written by Tim Hornbaker. And it talks about the expansion, betrayal, and the war that changed professional wrestling forever. And how basically how Vince McMahon, you know, invaded and bought all the territories basically and beat everybody out of their game with the TV deals and the spectacle that was the WWF that nobody had at that time. Then I got here the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, The Heel. This is a book written by Greg Oliver and Steven Johnson, and there's a foreword by Rick the Model Martel. I don't know if you guys Rick Martel. And this basically talks about how important it is to be a heel and how many great heels we've had throughout the years. You know, we had, you know, it talks about foreigner heels. It talks about Dick Murdoch. It talks about actual death in the rings. It talks about the Missouri Mauler, how horrible he was. Stan Hansen, the tough guys like Bad News Brown and Haku and Jerry Graham. It talks about a bunch of evil people. Stan Hansen, great heels, Gorgeous George, and it dates all the way up to like Randy Orton and all that stuff. And man, this is really good. Greg Oliver is a writer from the editor Toronto, from that magazine that Canada has called Slam. He's one of the writers there, and he's a Canadian. He's a Canadian writer. But yeah, this is a fantastic book, and how important heels are to wrestling. They make wrestling more interesting, and it's an awesome book. Really cool book. Then I got here My Life Outside the Ring from Hulk Hogan. And this was a pretty interesting book. It talks about his personal life and what he's gone through and all that stuff. And I actually met Hogan at Hogan's Beach or Clearwater, Florida. And he signed it. He signed the book for me. We talked about the book. He asked me what I thought about the book. I told him what I thought about the book. Here's the signature. And man, this was one of the greatest days of my life when I met the Hulkster. I'm a huge wrestling fan because of this guy, Hulk Hogan. He made wrestling, in my opinion. He was the greatest, not wrestler of all time, but he's the greatest overall wrestler ever. Like, this guy, he made wrestling what it is today and opened ways for a lot of young talents and a lot of people. So this is a great book also. Then I got A Lion's Tale from Chris Jericho. Great book here. This was his first book, and it was a really good book. His other books I wasn't a big fan of, but this was a really good book. It takes you a journey on how he started wrestling, how he worked in Japan and made his way through, how he was just a young kid. He had no shot. He was short. He didn't have the size and all that stuff. But man, he made it, and today he's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, basically, and very popular as well. Y2J, Chris Jericho. Here I got Controversy Creates Cash. This is from the man Eric Bischoff. Really good book. Also met him, and he signed it as well. Or did he? No, he actually did not sign it. I met the guy, but I believe that the book arrived like a week after I met him. So that's right. I got a picture with him, but I couldn't sign it. Anyways, Really good book. I've always been an Eric Bischoff fan. You know, when WCW went against WWF, I did not like WCW. I was more of a WWF guy. But in reality, every great company needs competition, and the WWF was great during the Monday Night Wars. But we have to thank Eric Bischoff for creating the Monday Night Wars and creating, you know, that WCW program to go against the WWF on Monday nights. It was genius, it was great, and it was the best time in wrestling. Hopefully the same thing happens with AEW and the WWF. I see something that a lot of people are shifting to AEW, and kind of like the WWF is becoming the old school WCW in a way. They have a lot of talent and they don't know what to do with it. But that's a video for another story. That's a story for another video, should I say. Then this is the other Chris Jericho book, which is like the sequel of A Lion's Tale. And it didn't do it for me. I wasn't a big fan of that book. Then I got the Yes, Daniel Bryan, the book. Great book. It's really good, well written. In a way, a little bit managed by the WWE, since it's a WWE release book here. Even though it says St. Martin's Press, it's still licensed by the WWE, so I'm sure they had a lot of say into what he was going to write in this book. So yeah, Yes, from Daniel Bryan. Then I got here Sex, Lies, and Headlocks, the real story of Vince McMahon and the World Wrestling Federation. I have not read this book, but I read on Amazon, and I've read online, and I've read on a bunch of different websites. It's a great book, and it talks a lot about who Vince McMahon really is. And I got it for a pretty cheap price, so definitely had to pick this one up. And this one I did get signed to Albert, Follow Your Dreams, Justin Roberts. Yeah, I got the Justin Roberts book, and this was a great book because he talks a lot about the reality of the WWE and how Vince McMahon is, how micromanaging he is, how he wants to divert the attention into one area and ignore everything else, which I think is bullshit, because back then everyone knew, even the ring announcer Howard Finkel was a character. Now in today's programming, you don't even know who the announcers are. Like, you don't even know who the ring announcer is. Like, they want to ignore everything, and you know, it's not fair for the ring announcer. And definitely Justin Roberts is awesome, and he's gonna have a great career hopefully in AEW. He's looking good over there, and that company AEW is looking amazing, and I'm glad that he's part of it, and he's the ring announcer there. That was a great book, by the way. Then I got here the WWE The Hardcore Diaries by Mick Foley. This is his second book, and this is the one that he signed when I met him. He signed. I brought him this one because I didn't have the other one first. I read this one first, and then I read the other one. This was a really fantastic book. Another bestseller here, and awesome. If you guys don't have this one, I highly suggest you get this one. This is a very good sequel to his first book, that one called The Hardcore Diaries. And of course, what fan is not gonna have this? The Bret the Hitman Hart, the book, and it's called My Real Life in a Cartoon World of Wrestling. To me, it's a little too much. It's a little too much to read here. I am barely halfway, but we're talking about 550 plus pages. So yeah, but so far it's a really good book, very entertaining, very truthful. This one had nothing to do with the WWE, so he spoke his mind, and he, you know, it just, his origins, how he, you know, from the minute that he was born until the completion of the book. I met Bret Hart as well, and you know, it's kind of sad what he's going through. He doesn't look that good anymore, and it just sucks. And I also got it signed by Bret the Hitman Hart as well. one of my top 10 favorite wrestlers. This book I haven't read yet, but I bought it from Bill Apter when I met him as well. He also signed it for me. Really nice guy. It says, "Dear Albert, thank you for your friendship, and see you at the watches. See you at the watches. Oh, see you at the matches. Your friend Bill Apter." I mean, the guy's getting old, but he's a really cool guy. Really cool book. It says it's Wrestling Fixed. This came out a pretty. This is an old book. It came out a long time ago. But it's his incredible pro wrestling journey by Bill Apter, and has a bunch of cool stuff and a bunch of cool stories, I suppose. I have not read it yet, to be honest. Then I got the Bobby the Brain Heenan book, Wrestling's Bad Boy Tells All, with a foreword from Hulk Hogan. And yeah, man, one of the greatest minds of wrestling. This guy was very entertaining, very, very funny. He made me watch wrestling. He was such an interesting character, very funny on commentary. As a manager, one of the greatest managers of all time. We miss him, Bobby the Brain Heenan. There'll never be another Bobby the Brain Heenan. The greatest, one of the greatest on TV characters ever in the world of professional wrestling. To be honest with you, I haven't read this book, but I really, really want to dig into it one day. Then I got here Accepted, which I only got halfway through because I kind of got bored of this. This is the Pat Patterson story. I thought it was going to be more entertaining than this. It has a foreword from Vincent Kennedy McMahon. I thought it was going to be a lot more entertaining. Pat Patterson's been in the company for many, many years, and he knows a lot of secrets and a lot of stories on the WWE. I just don't know why he doesn't talk too much about it. I don't know. It's just it's kind of like edited and kind of like very restricted onto what he says and he doesn't. So I thought I was gonna be more into like stories and secrets and stuff. But I guess since he's still with the company, he can't really talk too much about it. This is another one that I've never read. This is Slam Wrestling, and this is the Canadian Shocking Stories from the Squared Circle, again by Greg Oliver. This is like probably a bunch of stories blended in from Slam, the magazine, from the Canadian wrestling magazine called Slam. And yeah, it's just a bunch of stories combined and piled into this one big book. It has over 350 pages. Really cool stuff, but I haven't seen it. I haven't read it. This was the first book I actually read when it came to wrestling. And this is The Triumph and Tragedy of Wrestling's Rebel, Bruiser Brody. Awesome fucking book. If you haven't read this, I highly suggest you read this. This is fantastic. Really, really, really cool book. Then I got here Mondo Lucha A Go-Go. This is with an introduction by Kurt Angle. And this is basically talking a lot about Mexican lucha, like Lucha Libre, where it came from, like the most popular wrestlers, you know, like Pantera and Blue Demon, of course El Santo, Mil Mascaras, like everybody that has, you know, the true pioneers of Mexican Lucha Libre. So this is really, really cool stuff here. And the last but not least, this is a big one. This is the WWE Encyclopedia that I picked up at a good price, actually. It was 50% off at Amazon. This has over 400 pages. Very cool book to have. It talks about, you know, matches and events and tag teams and individuals and important characters, all that had to do with the WWF and WWE, hardcore championship records and intercontinental records, and it's a great encyclopedia for WWE fans. I'm sure I'm a big WWE fan, but Right now, they're not as good. But yeah, man, this book was awesome, and it goes into details about all the characters and all the wrestlers that have been. I also got here the Roddy Piper magazine that came out when he passed away in 2015. And I got some WrestleMania, this is the 2017 WrestleMania program. It had a bunch of stuff here. And then you got the Hall of Fame when you flip it upside down. So yeah, this is the program of WrestleMania, the one in Orlando, and the WrestleMania in Texas as well. And from 2016, I got this one. And I also got a couple of signed pictures here with Jay Lethal. I got The Addiction, the Young Bucks, Colt Cabana, El Generico, aka Sami Zayn, the late Bruno Sammartino, the late Nikolai Volkov, another Bruno Sammartino, and the Iron Sheik. So yeah, I got a collection there of signed stuff from the wrestlers. This is the WrestleMania from Dallas, Texas. And then I got this one here, the most recent WrestleMania from 2008. The one before this was the one in Louisiana and New Orleans. Really cool WrestleMania here. And I got my picture with Stone Cold Steve Austin. I got a picture with Bret the Hitman Hart, and a picture with the lovely Trish Stratus. Yeah. So there you go, guys. That's my entire wrestling book collection that I have. I also have the Dynamite Kid book, but it's somewhere in the living room, or I don't know where that one went, because that's the one that I'm currently reading as well. So I also have that Dynamite Kid book laying around somewhere. But that's it. That's pretty much all I got for wrestling books. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you guys are into wrestling, I highly recommend all these books and more. There's a lot of books, great books that are wrestling books. Very entertaining and very informative. I actually sit down with a pen and paper and I take notes on these books because I like to absorb these wrestling stories and facts that has happened throughout the history of wrestling. Okay, guys, so that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys around next time. See ya.